Hey everybody, welcome back to ADV Revival Round of 32. I'm Callus, your guest narrator for the evening, or whatever it is for you, where you are in the world. And this is a large mongoose against Alice. So, I picked this set for a reason. I'm pretty excited about this one. We'll start with Alice, because I think she's definitely the more well-known of the two. She's been around the block. She's an SPL veteran. I think she's just a good player overall in classic tiers. ADV definitely among them, but I think her GSC is very good as well. I've seen some good RBY out of her. She's experienced, she's solid, she's a really good test here for a large mongoose. But for those of you who don't watch my channel, and if you don't, you should, it is youtube.com/CallusNarrates for my once per narration shameless self-promotion. If you want to check me out, probably in the description. But yeah, if you don't watch my channel, you probably have no clue who a large mongoose is. And to be fair, not that long ago, I didn't know who the hell he was either. But he signed up for the prestigious, illustrious Callus Draft League. And in that tournament, he managed to go undefeated. Records aren't everything, but just the eye test, just the smell test, he just looked like someone who's good at Pokemon, who's smart and who understands the game. He just really stood out to me in a good way as someone who knows what they're doing and has a lot of potential. Now, to be honest, coming into this set, I've never seen him play a single game of OU in my life. Draft is one thing, OU is another. I do believe that talent translates, but you heard it here first. I watched this guy play in my league. I think this dude has the potential to be very, very good, and if he has started to put his mind to OU and really buckle down and focus on it, this is a player to watch. This is a player who could very much be involved in the competitive ADV scene sooner rather than later. And obviously he's got to be somewhat competent to get to the round of 32, but a tough test in front of him with Alice, who, like I said, is a very solid and experienced veteran player. So, I'm excited for this match. As you guys know, with the round of 32, it's best of 3, and the loser goes home. So here is game 1 of this set. Mongoose will be on the bottom, and Alice will be on the top. This is always a weird matchup, the Ments and the Tower, because they can both threaten each other. But Brick Break there, let's see, with lefties, so it was not CB Brick Break. Probably wouldn't have killed the Tower, but still, unless you've got something amazing to do back, Ice Beam, T-Wave, something to that effect, probably better to get out of the way, and indeed that's what she does. So, we've got a Skarm here getting a layer down. It is Flamethrower rather than Fire Blast, which I generally prefer, but there are exceptions. Protect comes down there, and Flamethrower, again, more longevity with more PP. That I haven't seen outside of Draft. Gonna go for Surf, huh? Wow, hey. It's a nice catch-all. It hits both Tar and Moltres, and Alice can't help but let out an LOL in the chat, and I can't blame her. Who the hell would have played around a Surf Tar? That's cool. I mean, I knew that it learned it, and like I said, I've seen it in, like, Draft and stuff, but you really never see that in OU, so got a wild one out the gate here, apparently. But as fun as that Surf was, and as much as it did chip the Moltres, the Wish there is going to largely negate that. Also, she's going to correctly predict the Suicune. Maybe she was aiming at the doll, but either way, HP Grass there is going to hit the Suicune on the way in. There are 3 Grass weaknesses shown already for Mongoose. And now Rachi comes in for a 29% Surf. We end up with Rachi on Rachi, in fact, but only for a moment. And now Gengar reappears. Will-O-Wisp gonna burn it, which Rachi does learn Refresh, but short of that, probably gonna be stuck with that burn. Tries to give Gengar a burn of its own, and does not manage to do so. Body Slam there, clearly predicting a switch that did not come. And strictly advantageous turn for Alice. For those of you who don't know, let me give you some culture for you youngins. The nicknames for a large mongoose I instantly recognize are the names of Alice in Chains songs from back in the day. Really good grunge band from the 90s. For those of you with your Kanye Wests and whatever the new thing is that you kids listen to. Forget that shit, forget Taylor Swift, listen to Alice in Chains. Hey, Man in the Box. Most people, even if you don't know Alice in Chains, most people know that song. At least look that one up. But anyhow, that to the side. Down in the Hole is another good one, by the way. It's on the album Dirt. It's very good. back to the game. Fire Blast, 50%, and Wish coming down. Protect will keep it alive, otherwise it's got to get out of the way, but it is Protect, and Rachi is going to go back up to 83 and then 89% after leftovers. End up with Rachi on Rachi now, with another Wish floating. See who needs it for Alice. Titar. It's actually really ironic that it's Alice and Chain's nicknames against Alice. I don't think that was on purpose. I think he probably just likes the band Alice in Chains, but I find that amusing. That hidden power neutral, huh? So not HP Grass? Is that might be HP Fighting, in fact. Okay, weird little hybrid set. I remember Roro and H-Clad, I think, started the trend of doing this back in the day when it was traditionally Wish, Protect, Fire Punch, Body Slam. They would just drop the Protect part and get a third coverage move, which I don't hate. It depends on the team. Looks like a balanced squad by and large for Mongoose, but that being said, even though Alice is down a Mon in the Gengar, I think she's in reasonable shape here. Most of her other stuff is pretty healthy, and it doesn't look like Mongoose has too many fantastic ways in the matchup to move the game forward. I'm not saying it's a passive or do-nothing team for Mongoose, not at all. Salamence pushes the action, CM Suicune, Titar, of course. I mean, these are all things that can push the action forward, but it looks like Alice largely has pretty good answers to what has been shown by Mongoose, though, of course, the Rachi being paralyzed is a bad turn or two away from the game going out of control. Rain When I Die, underrated, not a radio song, but a good one by Alice in Chains, if you want to look that up. Sleep Talk Calm Mind there. And the Roar. So a little bit unlucky there for Mongoose, or lucky for Alice, depending on how you want to look at it. But of course, a boosted Surf there rather than a useless Calm Mind would have done quite a bit to the Skarm in that situation. Fire Blast is protected against. Skarm goes back up to 75. Rachi comes in now, still paralyzed from before. Dragon Claws, whatever, but Fire Blast could be there. However, the PP is a limiting factor as well, and we know that it's got Protect, so that is also a consideration. Rather than play that game, Mongoose goes back to Suicune, and the last poke gets revealed now for Alice. That is Flygon, which is going to take 46% from an unboosted Surf, so I think we're looking at a modest Suicune and a at least somewhat offensive Flygon on the other side. CM coming down, but got to be careful of Earthquake. That last one doing so much is because it was a critical hit. She is instead going to fish for a flinch here, which would have been very good for her. However, doesn't come, and rest comes off. Suicune back to 100%, still at +1/+1, EQ 26%. And does not opt for Sleep Talk this time. There's another crit Earthquake, obnoxious for Mongoose. This time he does go for Sleep Talk, finding Calm Mind, but now the Earthquake is a threat because of the critical hit. No choice but to get out of the way, and of course Alice with the obligatory Earthquake there, blanking on the doll which comes in. One of two immunities that Mongoose has shown so far, and Boom and Toxic results in a trade. But crucially, that was the Rapid Spinner for Mongoose, so now any subsequent spikes that Alice manages to get down, Mongoose is going to have to deal with for the rest of the game. Hidden Power and Surf. Surf does more, however, Moltres is faster and can get the kill here should Titar stay in. But she's going to over-predict, and rather than going for Hidden Power again, she clicks Overheat. It is still going to be a trade, but crucially, that allows Mongoose to decide what he wants to switch in because Alice has to put her Pokemon in first. We end up with Rachi on Rachi. Despite the burn, Alice wants no part of the Hidden Power fighting there. Can't blame her. And they exchange Fire Punches for very close damage. 22 and 23, very similar. Here comes Skarm taking a Fire Punch. 31% manages to not get burnt. Like I said, any spikes that go down are gonna stay down because the Claydol went boom. There's a spike. Skarm is not gonna live another Fire Punch, assuming that happens here. Here's Tar. And Mongoose does not predict that. Does just go for the Fire Punch again. Rachi gonna bite the dust to the burn. Here comes the Suicune at just 9%. Focus Punch. And that is going to take out the Suicune. So now there are only 2 Pokemon for Mongoose against 3 from Alice. We still don't know the last poke from Mongoose, however, and that could be crucial. And I want to know what the last Alice in Chains nickname is. But that aside, there is the Fire Blast kill for Skarm, leaving us in a 2-2 situation. We still don't know the last one for Mongoose. Fire Blast, we'll have to check on the PP here. It's got to be getting pretty low. This says he's got 4 of them. Don't know. I don't think any of them are at Moltres for the pressure, so it might actually be 4. Now it is 3, of course, after that, but not out of the woods. The follow-up Fire Blast would kill should it connect. Here comes T-Tar, and it is Fire Blast. Nothing preventing the Mence from switching it up and going Brick Break here, which is exactly what happens. So now it comes down to whether or not Alice can stall out the Fire Blasts, possibly with the assistance of a miss, or what the last poke is for Mongoose. He did not click Fire Blast there, knew that it was going to be a Protect turn, didn't want to waste the PP, switched it up to Brick Break. But he's making me nervous because now he's Brick Breaking again. We're not out of Fire Blasts, right? Nope, he had one, but he missed. So 55% Rachi can maybe live a blast here. And it does. 48 is probably a lower end roll there, but it survives at 7%, up to 13 after lefties. Protect and Brick Break, sure. 19%. Remember, even if the Rachi does somehow stall this out, which is not what happens here, there was still another Pokemon in the back for a large Mongoose. So that could have all been for naught, depending on what the last poke was, and we'll never know. But the Mence does manage to kill the Rachi, which I think is unfortunate because I don't get to see the last nickname. But it is a Game 1 lead for a large Mongoose, which, like I said, I will remind you, it is a best of 3, and the loser is eliminated. This is going to be Game 2, but before we go to Game 2, let me remind you guys to real quick hit the like and subscribe button to support Revival tournaments. A lot of time and effort goes in to make these things possible. And if you guys have the means, I know it's the holidays, I know we're all a little tight on cash right now, but any donation that you can make to support this tournament is greatly appreciated. These guys don't keep any of the money. It all goes into the prize pool. So if you've been enjoying the content, if you have derived $5 worth of enjoyment from this tournament so far, then throw them $5 and show your appreciation. It really does make these tournaments possible, and we appreciate anything that you guys can do to help. So, getting back to business here, Mongoose up a game. Alice, very capable of rattling off 2 in a row, but that is what she's going to need to do or she will be eliminated from ADV Revival. Here is the second game. So, keeping the players in the positions that they were in before, it'll be Mongoose on the bottom, T-Tower for Alice on the top, and she's going to immediately go for Fire Blast there. Zapdos only tends to stay in that matchup if there's a Dugtrio in the back and the player wants to make the trade, which is not what happened here. The fact that she went for Fire Blast makes me think that she was anticipating something like a Skarmory, which is a very common switch, especially in the early game, into Tyranitar. And there is a Dugtrio here, but I don't know if I love this, because EQ never kills without a crit. You've got to watch for counter, which is exactly what happens here. That was a bit risky. I don't know if I love that play for Mongoose. It just feels like giving it away for no reason. I mean, it stinks when you have something trapped to switch out, but I really would have considered there, if I'm Mongoose, just switching out of it. But, you know, he felt comfortable taking his chances on either finding a critical hit or the Registeel not having counter, which it doesn't always, but in this case, it did. And Dugtrio down. Alice with the lead here. She's got a Skarm, and we have not seen a Rapid Spinner yet for Mongoose. It looks like not a standard TSS for Alice, but some kind of TSS. T-Wave there. Not a good trade there for Mongoose. It's either going to be Rest or Boom now from Registeel. And it is just Boom, so that's a trade and probably not a good one for Mongoose. So I definitely prefer Alice's position in this game. Though I do think that is a weird Toxic. Must have been aimed at the Purd itself, but I think that was a missed opportunity to spike. She'll do it now, but she does get her Skarm burnt for doing so. So yeah, I didn't love the Toxic. I think that should have been a spike turn, but minor nitpick there aside, I certainly think that Alice is ahead. Not only up 5-4, but also with a spike down, which it doesn't look like Mongoose can remove. And furthermore, this Gengar has been trapped by a Pursuitar, and there's no Dugtrio follow-up because it died earlier. So this is going more and more in the direction of Alice with her TSS squad. Still unclear of what the last Pokemon is for Mongoose, but like I said, I definitely favor Alice's position at this moment. Giga Drain there with a critical hit. I mean, not the most important crit in the world, but Mongoose would take anything he can get given the game state. BP is going to take the Intimidate with him. Not going to matter in this case, since you're not about to EQ against Immense, and this Mixed Mens very well may have HP Grass, which almost certainly is what we're seeing here. It was protected against right now. Mongoose with more good nicknames. These are now Audio Slave nicknames. I definitely like his taste in music. Alice in Chains, good. Audio Slave, good. Out of Exile, not my favorite Audio Slave song, but this man has a good taste in music. And he's gotta be my age, because people that are 17 are not listening to Alice in Chains and Audio Slave or whatever, so dude's gotta be old, like me, but he's got good taste in music. That being said, it is a 5-on-1 situation, so pending a Rachi Miracle, and stranger things have happened, but pending a Rachi Miracle, we're looking like we're headed to Game 3. Last poke Gengar here. It might just immediately boom here. Oh, that's even worse. It has Hypnosis and connects immediately with the 60-40. That was a one and only time to do that, too, because we know it's a Psychic Rachi. Well, just going to be an EQ away from a third game, it's looking like. Oh, no, it immediately wakes, and it has HP Grass. Wait a minute now. Wait a minute now. Swampert's not going to live a +1 HP Grass. And then there's just the Scarm. Wow. Alice not thrilled, and I don't blame her. She says, okay, whatever, and then concedes. I don't blame her for being annoyed with that one. The only way to win that game for Mongoose is if the Rachi instantly wakes, if it has the absolute minimum number of sleep turns and then instantly wakes up, which is exactly what happened. If the thing sleeps even one damn turn, then Alice sends us to a Game 3. Now, granted, what would have happened in Game 3? No idea. Maybe Mongoose would win anyway. We don't know. It's just one of those hypotheticals. The world may never know. But the vast majority of the time, this would have and should have gone to Game 3. I definitely felt like Alice was ahead for basically the entirety of this game. And Mongoose somehow managed to pull this one out of his behind and get the W here. So yeah, pretty crazy ending to this one. Like I said, in a Game 3, who knows what would have happened, but as it stands, it is a 2-0 victory for Mongoose, eliminating Alice, who I have the utmost respect for from this tournament. And he is going to be in the round of 16. And like I said, this guy is good and is a player to watch. Do not underestimate him. Even if you've never heard of him before this video, take my word for it. You heard it here first. This guy's good, and he's only going to get better. And I'm biased in his favor because he's got a good taste in music. And you don't. Alright guys, that'll wrap it up. Like I said, I hope they bring me back for more narrations. I enjoy doing these, but support ADV Revival by hitting the like and subscribe button. Won't mention my own channel again. It's in the description. You know what it is. And I guess that's it. Appreciate it. See you in the next video.